All right, so today we're diving into something that might seem pretty straightforward at first glance.
Yeah.
But when you really get into the nitty-gritty, there's actually a surprising amount to unpack. We're talking about walk-in tubs,
Mm-hmm.
specifically Mobility Bathworks walk-in tubs.
Ah.
And you know our style. We don't just skim the surface. You sent us the official operation and care manual for these tubs, and that's exactly where we're going. We're going to go through it together.
Excellent.
So we're going to extract all the essential info, maybe highlight a few things you might not expect, and hopefully by the end of this, you'll feel like a total walk-in tub pro, ready to use yours safely and keep it in tip-top shape for years to come.
Absolutely. And I think what often gets overlooked with these things, I mean, walk-in tubs are designed with accessibility and safety in mind, right? But there are all these little details, all these specific instructions from the manufacturer that are really there to ensure both, your well-being when you're using the tub and that the product itself is going to last. And I think that's what we're going to cover today. Like even something as simple as the door handle, there's so much variation there depending on the model.
Okay, so let's start right there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about getting into the tub,
Yeah.
because that's really step one, right?
Yeah.
And I was looking through this manual, and I was actually surprised by how many different types of door handles Mobility Bathworks uses for their tubs.
Ah, yeah, there's a whole range of them.
There are. So depending on your model, you might have what they call a Roman handle. You might have a bowling ball handle. That was pretty self-explanatory. It's shaped like a bowling ball.
Yeah, I've seen those.
And then there's the Space Saver handle, which I thought was particularly interesting. That one is specifically designed for the Elite 2645 model. And what makes it unique is that it folds flat against the door before you lock it.
Oh, that's pretty clever, especially if you're working with a tighter space.
Exactly. It's all about maximizing that entryway. Then you have the quick twist handle, and this one is found on the Elite 313-7 and the lay-down tub models. It's super simple to use. You just twist it to the right to lock it.
Easy peasy.
And lastly, there's the interlocking handle on the Elite WC 30052 model. This one requires you to push a pin forward and down to secure it. So as you can see, they've really thought about different ways to make that door closing mechanism both secure and easy to use.
And you know what really stands out to me going through these descriptions? The manual is very, very specific about the purpose of these handles.
Oh yeah, and there's a big warning in there.
Huge. It's all over the place. It says these handles, no matter what style you have, they're only for closing the door. You should not be using them to support your weight when you're getting in or out of the tub.
Yeah, they make that crystal clear. They're not grab bars.
Absolutely not. They even say that putting too much force on the handle when you're closing it, like really yanking it shut, can actually damage it.
And here's where it gets, I guess you could say, financially impactful.
Uh-oh.
Damage to the handle, because you misused it that way, is not covered under the warranty.
Yeah, so you're on your own if you break it by trying to use it as a grab bar.
Exactly. So gentle touch is the key takeaway here. Treat the handle like a delicate flower.
A delicate flower that seals a watertight door.
Right. Okay, so you're in, the door is securely closed, you're ready for that relaxing bath. Now it's time to start thinking about the water.
All right, so before you even turn on the faucet, the manual tells you to make sure the tub is actually going to fill up. And to do that, you need to close the floor drain.
Makes sense. You don't want all that water just disappearing down the drain as you're trying to fill it up.
Exactly. And to close the drain, you simply turn the overflow knob clockwise.
Okay, so that's one important step. And then there's another crucial step that the manual highlights. Yeah. Setting the anti-scald device.
Oh yeah, this is super important for safety. And they do mention that the specific way you adjust this is going to depend on how it was set up during the installation of your tub.
Right, so we can't give you the exact how-to here because it might vary, but the key point is make sure you've done it, because this device prevents the water from getting too hot and potentially burning you.
Yeah, think of it as like a safety net for your bath.
All right, drain closed, anti-scald device set. Now you can finally fill up the tub to your desired level. And this is where there's a specific note for folks who have the Omni hydrotherapy jets in their tub.
Okay, what do I need to know?
The manual explicitly states that for those jets to work properly, they need to be fully submerged in water.
So make sure you fill that tub up high enough to cover those jets completely.
Exactly. Otherwise, you might not get the full hydrotherapy experience. All right, so now you're settled in, the water is perfect, the jets are ready to go. Let's talk about the hydrotherapy systems themselves, because Mobility Bathworks offers two different types, and the manual goes into detail about how each one works.
All right, let's break them down.
The first one is the Omni hydrotherapy jets, and how you operate these depends on whether your tub has an air button control or a touch plus switch system.
Okay, so two slightly different ways to get those jets going.
Right. If you have the air button, you'll find it on the same side of the tub as the door handle.
Convenient.
And it's pretty simple. One press gives you low speed, two presses is medium speed, three presses takes you to high speed, and then a fourth press turns the system off.
So you just keep clicking through till you find the intensity you like.
Exactly. Now, the manual recommends a maximum usage time of 20 minutes for these Omni hydrotherapy jets. And they've actually built in a safety feature where the system will automatically shut off after 20 minutes.
I like that. It's like a built-in timer, so you don't overdo it.
Yeah, it's a nice little reminder. But if you're feeling good and want to keep going, you can always just press the button again to restart the cycle. Now, the touch plus switch system is a bit more high-tech. The first thing you need to do is make sure the water level is above a little crone sensor that's located near the seat.
Okay, so the water needs to be high enough for this one to work.
And there's another interesting caveat with the system. The manual specifically says you actually have to be sitting in the water for it to activate.
Oh, interesting. So you can't just turn it on with an empty tub.
Nope. It's probably a safety feature to prevent the jets from running dry.
Makes sense.
Okay, so you're sitting down, the water's at the right level. Now you just touch the switch once to activate the medium speed. Touch it twice, and it goes into a pulsation mode, which cycles between medium and high intensity. And then a third touch turns the system off.
So similar to the air button in terms of the intensities, but you're using touches instead of presses.
Right. Now, here's something I found really cool about these Omni jets. The manual mentions that they have a self-cleaning system built in.
Oh, that's neat.
So about 20 minutes after you turn the jets off, this system kicks in automatically and runs for about 20 seconds, just clearing out any residual water from the jets.
That's a great feature. It's taking care of some of that maintenance for you.
It's like the tub is giving itself a little rinse.
Exactly. Less work for you.
Okay, one more important instruction about the Omni jets. The manual says, and I quote, "Do not try to remove air jets." They explain that there's a non-return valve in there, which is basically a little mechanism that prevents water from flowing back into the air system.
So it's keeping things clean and preventing any potential damage.
And on that note of protecting the system, the manual also reminds us to be mindful of how long we're using the hydrotherapy features. They point out that prolonged exposure to the jets and the warm water can actually lead to hypothermia.
That's a good reminder. Even relaxing activities can have their limits.
So listen to your body, and if you're ever unsure about what's safe for you, it's always a good idea to consult with your doctor. Okay, now let's move on to the second type of hydrotherapy system you might have, which is the pressure point whirlpool system. This one is, according to the manual, a bit more straightforward to operate.
All right, back to the basics.
You simply push the air button once to turn the whirlpool on, and then push it again to turn it off.
So one button for all your whirlpool needs.
And then right next to that on-off button, you'll see a dial. This dial lets you manually adjust the intensity of the whirlpool. Turning it to the right increases the speed of the water jets, giving you a more intense massage.
So you have more direct control over the power of the whirlpool.
All right, so you've enjoyed your bath, you're feeling relaxed and rejuvenated. Now it's time to drain the water and get out.
All right, time to face the real world again.
To drain the tub, you simply turn that overflow knob that we talked about earlier, but this time you turn it counterclockwise.
The opposite direction of how you closed it.
Exactly. And once the water has completely drained, you pull the door handle towards you to unlock and open the door.
And then, of course, the manual reminds us to exit the tub carefully.
Yeah, it might seem obvious, but after a nice warm bath, it's easy to get a little unsteady on your feet.
It's all about safety first, even when you're stepping out of relaxation mode.
All right, so we've covered getting in, using the hydrotherapy features, and getting out. Now let's move on to something super important for keeping your walk-in tub in great shape for years to come. Care and maintenance.
This is where it gets really specific.
And the manual does not hold back on the details.
They really want to make sure you know how to treat this tub right.
So the first and most important rule of walk-in tub maintenance is wipe it down after every use.
Every single time.
And they particularly emphasize paying attention to the door seal.
That's key for preventing leaks. You want to make sure you're getting a good, tight seal every time you close the door.
Exactly. So wipe away any soap residue, mineral deposits, anything that could get in the way of a perfect seal.
And then There's a whole list of things that you should absolutely never use on your walk-in tub.
Yeah, it's a pretty extensive list.
No wire brushes, no metal sponges, no knives, no steel wool, no scouring pads. Basically, anything abrasive that could scratch or damage the surface is a big no-no.
And it's not just those physical tools. They also warn against using harsh chemical solvents like acetone, lacquer thinner, paint thinner, benzene, abrasive cleaners. Anything that could eat away at the finish of the tub is a bad idea.
And they have a specific warning for tubs with plated surfaces. Don't use anything with ammonia or chlorine.
Yeah, they say those chemicals can actually damage the plating, and they might even void the warranty.
Now, there's an interesting point here about cleaning products when it comes to the hydrotherapy
Oh
systems.
yeah, this one's a bit nuanced.
Initially, the manual says you shouldn't use any liquids, powders, or oils if your tub has an air or water system.
So at first glance, it sounds like no bath products at all.
Right. But then they clarify that certain bath oils are actually okay to use. It's just the bath salts that are off limits.
So definitely read those labels carefully. If you're ever unsure about a specific product, err on the side of caution.
Better safe than sorry.
All right, so what about those little marks and blemishes that inevitably happen over time?
Well, the manual suggests that oil or grease spots can sometimes be removed with denatured alcohol. Just be careful and test it on a small area first.
And for general cleaning, they recommend a liquid, non-bleach dishwashing detergent. Nothing too harsh.
And if the surface of your tub starts to look a little dull, they have a tip for restoring that shine. You can lightly rub it with a car polishing compound and then follow up with a liquid or paste wax.
It's kind of like giving your tub a little spa treatment.
Exactly. And finally, they remind us that any plated surfaces should only be cleaned with warm water. No soaps, no chemicals, just plain water.
All right, so the manual also includes a section with frequently asked questions, which is basically like their troubleshooting guide.
Hmm.
And there are some really important points in there that are worth highlighting.
Okay, let's dig into those.
One question addresses what to do if the door seal doesn't seem to be compressing all the way. And the answer is very clear. Don't mess with the hinge.
They're very adamant about that. They say, and I'm quoting here, never adjust, move, undo, or tamper with the door hinge.
Yeah, they don't want you messing around with that mechanism at all. It's precisely engineered to create that watertight seal, and any adjustments could actually make things worse.
So if you're having trouble with the seal, it's best to call a professional.
Another FAQ emphasizes the importance of cleaning, asking how often you should clean the tub. And the answer, once again, is after every single use.
Consistency is key when it comes to keeping that tub sparkling.
There's also a question about using bubble bath, and they reiterate the point we talked about earlier. Some bath oils are okay, but no bath salts.
So stick to those gentle bath oils and avoid anything too abrasive or harsh.
What if you accidentally chip the tub?
They have a solution for that too. They recommend getting a fiberglass repair kit and following the instructions to fix the chip.
So even minor accidents can be remedied.
And speaking of accidents, they also have an FAQ that addresses the big no-no, using the door as support when getting in or out of the tub.
Yeah, that's a big safety risk. The door is not designed to hold your weight.
And they also remind us not to tamper with any of the door fittings, including the hinge mechanism and the seal.
Basically, hands off the door unless you're closing or opening it.
Leave the adjustments to the professionals.
Finally, they address whether there's any routine maintenance required for the door or the hinge. And the answer is a resounding no.
They say, and I quote, "Do not tamper with walk-in tub door and handle."
They've made that abundantly clear. So it seems like the door mechanism is designed to be pretty low maintenance as long as you use it correctly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the operation and care of your Mobility Bathworks walk-in tub, we've covered a lot of ground. We've talked about the different types of door handles and how to use them safely. We've gone through the steps for preparing for your bath, from closing the drain to setting the anti-scald device. We explored the two hydrotherapy systems and how to operate them effectively. And we dove deep into the care and maintenance guidelines, including all the do's and don'ts.
What strikes me is how much detail goes into something we might take for granted. A bath is such a simple part of our routine, but when you look at the engineering behind a walk-in tub and all the safety features they've built in, it's actually pretty impressive.
It really highlights how technology and design are being used to make everyday activities more accessible and enjoyable for everyone.
And it makes you think, what other seemingly ordinary objects in our lives have these hidden complexities and detailed instructions that we often overlook? I think that's something to ponder as we all go about our day, maybe with a newfound appreciation for the things that make our lives a little bit easier and a little bit more